And we are alive. All right. Welcome in, ladies. Welcome in. Who's joining me live today? We are live on Facebook. And I'm just checking LinkedIn just to make sure everything's good. Okay, so welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. We have a very, very interesting topic to talk about today. It's a very sensitive one. Women have messaged me privately with the amount of stress and issues that they're having with either their managers, their subordinates, their upper management, and there's a whole lot of suffering that they're experiencing within these relationships. There's whether it's the maltreatment that they're receiving. Sometimes they use the word bullying, like so many things. They talk about gender bias and stuff like that. And so one of the things that I want to come here today to teach you guys is conflict IQ. Conflict management IQ, because it's so interesting that before women had the opportunity to work, have jobs, one of the major things that women were known for is our ability to manage relationships. We do this easily. We can wake up in our sleep and be able to manage relationships, but something's going on. Because if the modern day woman is struggling to manage these relationships, there is something going on. And that's what I'm going to teach you guys today, okay? Because of the sensitivity of today's topic, I don't know, I might take down the training on my platforms where it's open to the public, and then I'll send it to you guys privately, just because there's certain things that I'm going to be mentioning here. They're not politically correct. I promise you and I guarantee you that you have not heard it from somewhere else, because the tips, the tricks that I'm going to be talking about from my personal experience, also from evolution, psychology as well, and sociology, social psychology as well. Okay, so I'm saying this now because I want you guys to keep an open mind. Keep an open mind, that's the first thing. And the second thing is, there's certain things that I might say that might trigger you. That's a wonderful thing. If I'm saying something that starts to hurt or starts to make you feel like real triggered, that just means that there's something in there that wants to heal. There's something in you relating to the thing that I'm talking about that wants to come out and heal. So embrace it, feel through the emotions that are coming through, and embrace the process of healing, because that is actually how internal healing takes place, okay? All right, so let's get started. Welcome in, ladies. So if you are watching me from Facebook, put in the chat Team FB. And if you're watching me from LinkedIn, type in the chat Team LK. Okay, let's get started. So when it comes to conflict management, I talked about, I forgot to introduce myself. Ladies, if this is the first time that you're watching me, hearing me, seeing me, wherever the case, my name is Amy, and I'm a life coach, and I help women in the workplace, especially those in leadership position. I help them have balance, manage stress, have energy, have time, and be able to be at their best at work, okay? And one of the major things that can cause women to feel stressed out is their inability to manage the relationships that they have been hired to do. Yes, if you are in a position of leadership, you have one job and one job only. What is that job? Your job is to guide the people that you have been hired to guide, to lead them to a certain outcome. If you cannot do this job, then what that means is that you're unfit for the position. One of the things that can block you from doing this job is if you have the inability to form trusted relationships. It is almost physically impossible. I will tell you guys why once I go through the training. But part of building social relationships is the ability to form trust. If people cannot trust you, then those relationships cannot be formed. Therefore, you cannot influence them towards a certain outcome. Therefore, you cannot do your job. And that's where women start to pull back and they start complaining, saying, oh, they're marginalized, they're going through biases and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but you guys know my work. I like to empower you. I like to give you all the tips, the tricks, the techniques, the psychology, the why, the behavior, so that you can take back your power and charge yourself for the outcome that you want. When we start to blame, this is the problem, external things are the problem, it makes you powerless. Because all of a sudden now, they have the power to fix it. And the question is, if they don't want to fix it, then what does that mean? That you're doomed? No! That all of a sudden now, the career that you've worked for, you have to burn everything to the ground because we are putting the responsibility on others? No, we don't get to do that. It's your right. You've worked for it. It is your right to have it. Okay? So let's talk about the guiding principles. So when it comes to conflict management, there are certain guiding principles that I tell women. Okay? The first one, when you are in a conflicting relationship, the first guiding principle is it's not a me versus you. It's me and you versus the problem. All right, what am I talking about? Oftentimes, when we are in conflict, we get triggered into essentially thinking that it's us against them. You're the one attacking me. You're the problem, that's why. Now, let me explain why we have that mindset. So, psychologists have talked, social psychologists specifically have talked about, and evolutionary psychologists, they have talked about the primary motivations for humans, right? And two of them are, number one, survival, number two, ability to pass on your genes. Okay? Now, both of these motivations are gravely affected by our ability to access resources. Okay, are you with me? Now, when we feel like that is threatened, our ability to access resources, aka you could be fired, aka you could get a divorce, aka something's going to cause a breakdown in the relationship, we get triggered into stress mode. What is stress mode? That means that your body has looked at that situation, that person or people, and has said that is a threat. That is equivalent to a lion chasing you. And so when your body perceives something as a threat, aka a lion chasing you, it goes into survival mode. And so you are much more likely to perceive things differently than they really are because you are in survival mode. When you are in the stress mode, your body is prioritizing resources. It is not accessing the logical part of your brain. Okay, the part of your brain that is mostly triggered is your amygdala. That's the emotional part. And it is like, run, girl, run. So you are not thinking clearly. Like on a physical level, you are not thinking clearly. I know women get shocked, like, Amy, they did this. I said, yes, I know, I've been there. But on a physical level, because you're not thinking clearly, that's where we start to have mindsets of they're the attacker, me versus them, and stuff like that. Okay? So when you want to resolve or manage a conflicting relationship, you have to change that mindset because it's going to affect every single thing that you say or do, which is going to have a direct impact on whether it's going to resolve the situation or not. Okay? So first guiding principle, it is not a me versus you. It is me and you versus the problem, the thing that's causing you guys to be conflicted, the thing that's causing the conflict. All right? The second thing, you are both of you, or you and the situation or the person, you are both right and wrong and have an equal part to play. Okay? When women hear this, they think, oh, AB, no, you didn't see what this person did to me. I say, I know. Oh, AB, they picked me out, they targeted me, they said, you're not good enough. I said, I know. Then they're like, well, how can you say that we're both right and wrong? I say, because from your perspective, you are right. They're targeting you. They're coming after you. They don't have your interest. You are right. Because you believe that, so you were right. But they are also right. Because they have a right to feel what they feel. They have a right to believe what they believe. So they are also right too. It doesn't matter what the actual situation is. What matters is what the belief that we're thinking right now. They are targeting you, you're right. You are not complying, they're right. Okay? How is this going to help? Because when you are coming into conflict, to manage a situation, when you are coming into a conflicted situation, if you have a thought that they are the only ones that have the problem and you have no contribution to the issue, it's going to affect the way and your ability to be able to resolve a conflict. Not only that, it's going to be creating dissonance in you. Your body is going to start creating, psychologists call it dissonance, yes, but you're going to start feeling negative emotions that can actually start to affect your physical health. How do you think diseases form? Diseases don't form out of nowhere. Every part of our human body has been created to regenerate. Your cells regenerate when they die. When diseases are forming, that process is interrupted. And one of the reasons, or one of the ways that can contribute to that is the consistent feeling of negativity in you. Okay? So the second guiding principle is you are both right and you are both wrong, and each of you have an equal part to play. What this will also help you do is that it will also start to lower your defenses so that you can actually be a little bit more empathetic and see their perspective. No conflict can be resolved if only you and only you alone wants them to see your perspective. Okay? But when you have these guiding principles, you can start to calm your body down and start to put yourself in a safe place where you can then be open to hear their perspective. All right. The third one, and this is one of my favorite ones because I use this in my life as well. Everybody is doing the best that they can. Even that terrible manager or higher up or subordinate that's not pulling their weight, I promise you everyone is doing the best that they can. We went through a very traumatic COVID experience, and studies have been showing that people's mental health are on the decline. So we together, we're all in the same boat, and everyone is doing the best that they can. And so when you have this thought and this principle, it's a lot easier again to feel a little bit, I know it's hard, a little bit of empathy, just a little bit. What is empathy? Empathy is you putting yourself in their position and perceiving the situation from their perspective. Why is this important? It's a lot easier when people know that you can see their perspective. They're much more likely to matter update. What is matter updating? Both of you come to an agreement that both and equally aligns with the two of you. That's how conflict is resolved. Okay? So everyone is doing their best. Even the most terrible person, the person who's targeting you or the person who's treating you that way, they're doing their best. They're doing the best. Okay? And the fourth one, so this one is so important because I'm going to give you guys examples of real life situations that I've coached women through. And this fourth principle is what helped them manage future situations that came about. Okay? What is this fourth principle? I attract people that have my best interest at heart. Why is this important? See, I talked about earlier before this training started, I talked about the stress response. I said when you are feeling stressed, your body is in survival mode and it wants to attack the person that is the threat. Now, when you have a belief in you that you attract the people that have your best interests at heart, whether it's true or not, doesn't matter, okay? When you have that belief, it starts to make you feel safe. Why is it important that you start to feel safe? Number one, the physical effects that are taking place in you start to dwindle. Now your body is going to get triggered into its relaxed state so that it can start to repair itself from you always being in attack mode. You are going to start to feel better. You're going to look better. Your health is going to improve. Remember, your interest is what I have at heart here. I don't know the other person. I don't know what the situation is unless you tell me. So everything that I'm giving you is so that you can come out of this without losing your health, losing your well-being, losing your peace. That's the goal. Ladies, do you hear me? Because what I've heard and when I'm listening to women is when you're in attack mode, you are not prioritizing your health. You are not prioritizing your well-being. You cannot physically. I told you, your brain is in survival. It's fighting war. So its main goal at that time is to keep you alive. My goal is to keep you healthy, keep your well-being, keep you safe, give you the ability to manage whatever comes your way. Build resilience. That's the goal. So when you have this underlying belief that you attract the people that have your best interest at heart, it doesn't matter if it's true now. It doesn't matter at all. Even if all the people in your life are like predators and they want to take from you, doesn't matter. Let me tell you the beautiful thing that comes with having a wonderful, wonderful subconscious mind. You guys should say, honestly, I feel like every day we should be grateful for the faculties that we have in us that helps us have a good life. And one of them is having a subconscious mind. Let me tell you what your subconscious mind does. So when you have a certain belief about something, whether it is pink is the best color. Yes, I do like pink, by the way. I'm not just saying that because I want to say that. But when you have a belief about something and you emotionally believe that thing, your subconscious mind is going to do all it can to make it true. Ever heard of the law of attraction? It's not magic. I know when we hear about law of attraction, we think it's magic, spiritual, and all of that stuff. Yes, there's a little bit of elements of the here and there, but there's actually science to it. Your subconscious mind, when you start to believe something on an internal level, it will do everything it can to make that thing true. That's why when you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my gosh, this is such a horrible day, what happens? You almost have an accident, you spill your coffee, you have the worst meeting ever. That's the same day they give you 3 deadlines to meet, you're on your period and you're bloated. Horrible things start to happen to you. Why? Because you have told yourself it's the worst day ever. All your mind knows is, okay, let's bring that. And so it starts to bring the negativity that you just believe and say, well, I'm going to have a horrible day. It starts to bring that to pass because it does not know the difference between good or bad. All it knows is where your attention is focused on. Are you ladies getting it? So you are going to change whatever this whole situation, you are going to change it from inside out. And one of the quickest ways is that you are attracting the people that have your best interests at heart. I have worked with a lot of women on this, and they are surprised at how this changes. Because the truth is, oftentimes we think that communication is just words. But words is just like 10% of communication. Majority of communication is body language. What is body language? It's your belief being physically manifested. What does that mean? That means that if you hate someone, if you're always criticizing someone behind their backs, you're talking badly about them, whether it's to your family members, your friends, oh, this person is terrible, this is that, I really hate them. Do you really think that when you see them in person, all of a sudden now you're going to like them? No. Do you think that you pretending to like them is believable? No. Why not? Because all your body knows when it comes to that person is negativity. So you can do that fake smile, but they will see the way that you're going to talk, your tone of voice, the way you will move, the way you will act, the replies that you will say, the things that you will do. You don't even know you're giving out this frequency. They are seeing it and they know you don't like them. And because they know you don't like them, there's no connection that can be built. They'll throw you under the bus. And then women will come back and say, this is happening. And so this is why I tell women, it doesn't matter what that person is doing. Like they're so insignificant within the grand scheme of things. That's how I see it. And that's how I want you to see it. Why? Why is it important to see it like that? Because you are the center of your own world. You get to decide what has the right to make a positive or negative outcome in your life. You do not give other people that power. So I need you guys to take back your power and control your own life. When you are having negative emotions towards someone that you don't want to, they control you. They own you. Let me repeat that. They own you. So the only way to fix that is decide how you want to feel about them. And the more positive, the better. Why? Because it affects the quality of your health. Okay? So back to that fourth guiding principle. I attract the people that have my best interest at heart. Maybe it's not true. It doesn't matter. And this is something it's like an affirmation that I tell women, you're going to repeat it every single time. I repeat this every single day of my life. And when I started doing this, my life changed. It changed. It changed. And I'll share my story, but let's keep going. Okay. So now that we know those 4 guiding principles, I'm just going to reiterate them for those of you who are just joining. First guiding principle, it's not a me versus you. It's me and you versus the problem. Okay? Second guiding principle, both of you are right and wrong and have an equal part to play in this conflict. Okay? The third one, everyone is doing the best that they can. Even though they may not necessarily be portraying that behavior, but they're doing the best that they can. Number 4, I attract people that have my best interest in heart. And the reasons why I mentioned these guiding principles, just to reiterate, is so that you can remove yourself from that negative emotions and stress that you're currently feeling to a place where you can relax, because it's from that relaxed state that conflict can be genuinely resolved. Because communication, ladies, is 70 to 80% your body language, 10 to 20% your words. Okay? And your body language communicates what you're truly feeling, and that's why you need to heal that. Okay, so the question that I received was, AB, I'm really struggling I'm working with like the founder of this company. They come across as egotistic, they're criticizing everything I do, they're like, you can come to meetings late and stuff like that. They're just criticizing the whole thing. And they hired me for this position, and I don't know what to do, I want to quit and stuff like that. That was the question. I just kind of reframed that just, for the privacy of my clients. So that's the scenario. I've also had other women tell me, a similar scenario with their management and whatnot. So if you were in that place where you were just tensed out, you have panic attacks when you think about this situation, it's giving you anxiety, you can't sleep, you're sweating, your palms are sweating, you're crying, you're so bitter, you're so annoyed. If you're in that state, one of the very first things that you can start to do to resolve this process is what I call inner work. Okay? So what is this and how is this going to help? All right. Because of the states that I just described, the panic attacks, the anxiety, the stress, the sweaty palms, the horrid speeches, you were not thinking, you were not in the capacity to think properly to be able to resolve the solution. Because your brain is not accessing the logical part. It's not utilizing its executive functions. So you are going to have to do your inner work to bring yourself to a state of calm, to release the negativity so that you can then be calm-headed and level-headed to move to the next step. Okay? So how I start this process, what I tell women is, whatever the situation is, let's use the example of, let's say you're working with someone in top management, they're criticizing you, they're like nitpicking, they're like micromanaging you and stuff like that. One of the very first things you can start to ask yourself is, what is it about the specific thing that they're doing that makes me feel the way I feel? Notice I'm not talking about them because they're not significant within the grand scheme of things. They're not. So what is it about them and the things that they're doing that makes you feel the way that you feel? So ladies, I learned a concept from psychologists that changed. When I read about it, I was just like, oh my gosh, this solves most of the problem. Okay. Well, what was the concept? They were talking about perception. They said that as humans, we actually don't perceive things directly. So when something happens, we pick it up, it enters our filter in our brain. Our brain then goes through, it processes it, and then we utilize past experiences, and based on that, it forms an output which is the information that you perceive. So sometimes when something happens, not sometimes, most of the times, what you will find out is that people are looking at the same things, but they have different perceptions of it. And most of that differences is caused by their internal frame, their internal filter from past experiences, from upbringing, from their genes. All of this forms a certain concept in their mind, which is what the brain utilizes to interpret information. And so the situation that I just described, when the person is micromanaging, if you are someone that your worth isn't tied to the work, then attitudes like that will not hurt you. You would just look at it like something's wrong with this person. Why are they so insecure? Like, it wouldn't make you feel so terrible to your bones that you're having panic attacks. Oftentimes what happens is when our worth is tied to the work that we do and somebody starts to criticize us, we feel like they're criticizing us. We feel like they're criticizing our soul, or they're criticizing the person that we are. And so it feels very much more hurtful. And our self-esteem starts to go down. And it doesn't matter what they're saying, but we think it's a personal attack. And that's why we feel we're being targeted. We're being maligned. We're being maltreated. Do you guys see a pattern? I'm not saying it's not happening, but what I'm saying is that we have the ability to change that perception to something that will fit the narrative that we want to see happen. Why? Because we want to bring ourselves out of that destructive state that's destroying our life, our happiness. We want to get ourselves to a place of healing. When you do this inner work, there's so many questions that I give women. When you do this inner work, this will start to release the negativity that you're feeling. The chaos that is happening will still be there, okay? But this will start to do the healing for you so that you can become relaxed and calm, not take things personal, and be able to come up with creative solutions to solve this problem. Are you ladies getting it? And so part of inner work too is taking some time out of your day when something has happened that has triggered you so much, asking yourself, why is this making me feel triggered? What is going on here? Why? Is it that all of a sudden now I cease to exist? I'm no longer this excellent person. Now the image that I've created for myself has been thrown away, and which are legitimate needs. Is it the fact that we're so tied to the need to be approved that when we don't feel approved, we feel like we're nothing? And that causes that negative feeling. Again, these are real needs, but you need to get to the bottom of why this is so personal. It could also be that you've been bullied when you were small, when you were younger. I was coaching someone through this. She experienced bullying at a younger age. She didn't tell anyone about it. And so that created this sort of defense in her. And so she tended to perceive actions. She was much more sensitive to actions that may look like bullying. And so her reaction was really affecting her, like causing her to feel depressed, because it was like, oh my gosh, now I'm going back to when I was like a teenager and people were bullying me. So if that's the case, get to the bottom of it so that you can release that emotions and release yourself from feeling the way that you do. Okay? Remember, your feelings are always valid. They're always valid. But now we want to get you to a place where you can actually resolve this conflict. All right? All right. Good. What is the next thing? The next step is start to forecast what you want the relationship to be like. So if you're leading a team, you're noticing that you have a subordinate that is uncooperative, disrespects you, is just maybe, I don't want to use this word, but behaves like someone that is just hasn't been brought up properly, behaves, is just off. How do you want this relationship to unfold? Do you want to fire them? Do you want to get to a place where they actually respect you? Do you want to feel powerful in their presence? How do you want the situation to be resolved to? What is the best case for you? Okay? What is the worst case for you? So start to forecast. This is how I would like this situation to be resolved. This will be the best case scenario for me. Why is this important? So when you've done your inner work and you're healing yourself, when you start to forecast the best possible outcome, it will make you feel better. But more importantly, it will start to show up in the way that you interact with that person. Because oftentimes when you have the worst case scenario in your head, it affects the way you communicate with people. You've already believed there's no hope, this is dead, and all of that stuff. So it will come out in the way you talk to them. And so that's going to influence the way that they receive your communication, or it's going to affect it. So start to forecast. This is the best scenario. Start to visualize it. Start to see the outcome that you want. Because remember when I said your subconscious is going to do all it can to bring you there. A caveat. Women will hear this and think that AB is saying, oh, people please. I will never ask you to people please, because it's not genuine. You're not fooling anybody when you're people pleasing. People can feel that energy. People pleasing energy is very different from someone who just is from a positive mindset and you're visualizing positive things happening. Because when you're in the authentic space, when you're authentic and you're visualizing positive outcomes, you act from there. And so people tap into that energy, and it just feels so much different than someone who wants to people please and bend over backwards. Okay? All right. The next step is what I call activate your feminine power. So this is the second module, or the second pillar of my Balanced Professional Woman program. When this live started, I said for eternity, before feminism, women had the rights to work and all that stuff, how do you think women survived? They survived by being able to manage relationships and build social bonds. That's part of humanity, but women were stellar at it. They knew how to get what they wanted, and people would do what they wanted. And one of the reasons, or major reason, is tapping into your feminine power. So when I say activate your feminine power, what does that mean? Okay. This means that you are in touch with your body. And so you are now acting from your body. Remember, you're healed your body now. That's why I said do your inner work. You are now acting from your healed body in the current situation. Let me give you an example. So sometimes I've been in meetings and somebody says something that triggers me, and I can feel my energy of wanting to push back come out. I can feel it, like it was coming out. In the past, before I went through my own transformation journey, in the past, the reaction would have been a knee-jerk reaction. And so it would have been, okay, it wouldn't have been me speaking from a place where I'm in touch with my body. So this actually happened recently to me. When I say feminine power, when I use my feminine power, what does this mean? This means that when I'm in that meeting and somebody's saying something that triggers me and I feel that trigger, instead of speaking, I actually lean back. And they're talking, and I'm like, AB, what's going on? Why are we feeling triggered? What did they just say? And I ask my body, what is it? Oh, okay. The thing that they said is going to feel like it's going to put so much pressure on my team. We're not going to be able to meet that expectation. And so if we don't meet that expectation, then it's going to look like we're not meeting our KPIs, and it's going to look like we're not doing the best that we can. Oh, that's it? Okay. How do you want to feel? What is it that you want to communicate to them? And the true response comes out. So rather than, you can't say that, that's not going to work. What are you saying? That's not right. You see those responses? Those are defensive mechanisms. The true response was, oh, okay, I hear you. One of the concerns that's coming up for me is I'm just wondering how we're going to be able to meet that specific target given the resources that we have. So right now we're working on this, so I'm just wondering how we're going to be able to meet that. Did you see how I approached that? And then the person goes, oh, I didn't even know that you guys were doing that. Okay, I was thinking, would it be possible for you? Now you're negotiating. It's not about you're attacking me, I'm attacking you, you want to see me fail, and it's not about that. But I communicated the real concern. I communicated it in a calm way because I had calmed my body down to say, what's making you feel triggered, AB? What is this? And the real fear came out. And I communicated that fear. And so negotiations started, and we arrived at a place where it was mutually beneficial for both teams. And so when I tell women activate your feminine power, that's exactly what it means. So you stop speaking from your triggered place, the stressed out place, the war, the attacker. Now you're speaking from the real you. Even if you feel fear, there is a way you communicate that people will listen, okay? And part of feminine power is also tapping into your ability to manage your emotional intelligence. Science has shown that women have a larger limbic system. What is the limbic system? So that's part of the brain that's responsible for processing, receiving, perceiving, and processing emotions. It's larger in women than men. So women have a better capacity and ability to be, and even culturally too, we have the ability to process emotions better. We're given that space. This is your superpower. Why won't you use it in the workplace? Now, where it gets dicey is that women have told me, well, why is it my responsibility to have to manage my emotion? And I'm like, it's not that it's your responsibility. It's just that what you're doing now is not working for you. You're going to the hospital to take shots because you have this autoimmune disease. You're going to the hospital to do this test, that test, because they've told you, because your period isn't coming, because you're having heavy flows. That's you. That's your life. It's not about responsibility. It's about how can I save my life? How can I make my health a priority? That's it. Doesn't matter. It's not about responsibility now. It's that what is important to you. It should be you. So when you start to see life from that perspective and you move your ego aside, the ego is doing its best, I know. I used to have a very big ego, ladies. Oh my. That's why you guys see me a little bit calm now. I used to have my ego? No. And I would be so defensive. Because I would like put it like this, So when women come to me, I'd like, lady, let's put aside the ego. She's doing her best. And I love her. She's just trying to make you safe. That's it. It's not personal. But look at what the situation is doing to your health right now. Do you like it? No. Do you like that you're waking up at 3 a.m. because you're panicking? You don't know what's going to happen the next day? No. Do you like that when you go to work you feel isolated? Nobody's including you in meetings because they cannot trust you? No. Do you like it when you are in meetings and your voice is the loudest and you come across as looking crazy and people think you're incompetent just because you're not able to manage your emotions? It doesn't matter if it's their fault. It's the way people are perceiving you, right? Does it make you feel good? No. So why should you manage this? Because it's in your best interest. That's it. I have your best interest at heart. And so I can be honest with you. Okay? And ladies, all the things that I'm saying, I've been through it. I'm in tech and when I think of the things that I've done in the past, I'm so grateful that I'm where I am today. But the whole carrying in with the ego, arguing, so uncooperative, and just being unpleasant to work with, it doesn't mean that there were situations that were triggering it, right? But sometimes if I had known this information that time, it would have made my life so much easier. I wouldn't have had to wait until I collapsed just so that I can wake up, right? So that's why. Okay? So when I say back to the third step, ladies, I went a little bit deep into that one. But when I say activate your feminine power, two key pillars of this for conflict management is emotional intelligence and feminine communication. Emotional intelligence is easier to manage your emotions when you are less likely to be triggered. And that's why I talked about doing your inner work to heal those wounds that are causing you to feel triggered. Long-term transformation. Feminine communication, your tone, your body language, your ability to listen. If you notice, have you ladies noticed that in commercials, in train stations, when you make a call, like you're banking, they use a female voice. Has anybody noticed? There's a certain kind of female voice that they use. Do you want me to tell you why? Okay, let me tell you why. Studies have shown that when people hear, the study was for men versus women. They said that when a man hears a woman's feminine voice, so calm, talking in a calm tone, cool, calm, collected, female voice, the part of the brain that's activated is the same part of the brain that is activated when he is under the influence of cocaine. So it makes him high. In other words, that voice, a very feminine voice, is soothing to the nervous system. And so if you're working with men, for example, and your voice is triggering to their nervous system, what kind of voice would be triggering? One that is stressed out. When we are stressed out, our pitch is higher. So there's certain resonance in our voice that can be trickish. Is that a word? Tickling. Okay, let's use tickling. That can be tickling to the nervous system, to people's nervous system, not just men, but women and children. And so when you're like that, and because another thing too is that cortisol, which is a stress hormone, is transferable. So when you're under stress, the person receives your cortisol. It's transferable through the ether. And so they receive that, and you make them stressed. And now when two stressed people are talking, there's no resolution. It's impossible because their communication is distorted. So part of feminine communication is talking like a woman. This does not mean that you are manipulating anybody. That's not what it means. It's just you're talking from a place where you're calm, you're cool, you're collected. When you do that, it's so easy. It's so easy to resolve conflict because now you are not triggering their nervous system. And by the way, people cannot control this. Another reason why women are like, AB, why do I have to take this? People cannot control it when their nervous system is triggered by you. Just like before I started this training, I said, there's certain things I'm going to say that might trigger you. I know you cannot control that. So if you're in a position of management, I said, what is your job? What is your main job? Your main job is to guide people. And so for you to guide people towards a certain outcome, you need the ability to influence them. If you're speaking like if you're speaking in a very triggering tone because you're stressed out, you cannot influence someone from there. So you cannot do your job. Period. So this is part of feminine communication, is knowing how to conduct yourself so that not just your tone, your body is communicating someone that is in a place of calm, peace, cool, calm, and collected. When you communicate like that, unless the person is mentally retarded and they're unable to process the energy that you're giving out, the dynamics will change instantly. The dynamics will change because they'll drop their guard. Remember, both of you are coming in attack mode. So when they perceive that, oh, okay, this person is speaking, this is a feminine tone, they'll drop their guard. Now you can have a conversation. Get it? That's it. Nature gave women these skills because you were not the physically strongest gender. So they needed to give women something. Your strength is in the emotional world. Use it. Okay. And the fourth step. Now, there are cases I've seen where women do all of this and the relationship does not improve because, number one, the person is, they're just crazy. Like the person is just mentally retarded. So their brain is not even functioning in the capacity that it should function. And I see the cases that I've seen is usually in smaller organizations where the person that the executive or the woman is dealing with is either maybe the founder, or it's a smaller organization where they haven't really gone through a rigorous psychometric test and HR background checking to really filter the people that are good for that role. So in that case, that's like the worst case scenario. If that's the case for you, then start to have a plan. What are you going to do? Have a set timeline. In that case, my recommendation is always find something else, because they're physically incapable of actually resolving that conflict. It's not your fault. They're just not in that position physically and mentally to be able to resolve that conflict. There's nothing you can do. You're not a magician, okay? So in that case, I start having plan B. Even before this, I usually just tell women, before we go through all of this, it's just to have plan B, just in case. Anything can happen, right? We have no control over other people but ourselves. But in that case, remember the forecast that I said, best possible scenario? We also think about a worst possible scenario and come up with a plan B. And so in step 4 is start to execute your plan B. Are you going to use the steps that I gave you for 3 months? If no improvement, what's your plan B? Start looking for another job, right? Or whatever the case, move into another team. Whichever is easiest so that you can get away from that will be like the last step. But 97% of the time, what I found when women implement these steps is the dynamics changes and things improve. And you can use all the steps that I talk about in your personal relationships too. It works with husbands, wives, children, aunties. It works with anybody that is human. It works with anyone that is human. Okay. All right. Any questions, ladies? This was a full training. I'm going to take it down because there's certain things that I said that I really, I'm going to put it in my paid program because I know the women have been asking me for this. So I'm going to take this down and put it in my paid program because this was a full training. But any questions, ladies, before we round this up? And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If anything comes up, feel free to let me know. I think we've gone over the hour here, so just want to be respectful of times. But other than that, ladies, I will see you. Thank you for joining me. I really enjoyed it. This is one of my best parts to teach because it's part of my Activate Your Feminine Power program, which is like one of my favorite pillars of my program. So I love that. If you are struggling with this and you're needing help, send me a DM and we'll have a conversation on how we can get you to a place where you're free, you're not stressed out, you're not burned out, you have peace, you're no longer having panic attacks and stuff like that. We can get you to that place, okay? So send me a DM. But other than that, ladies, thank you for joining me. I will see you next week. Bye.